President Yoon Suk Yeol on Wednesday held a dialogue with the 10-member ASEAN bloc and a +3 meeting of neighboring Northeast Asian countries. He called for a revival of trilateral cooperation with Japan and China, particularly on curbing North Korea's nuclear program. Our correspondent Oh Soo-young reports.
Seoul has warned that any attempt at arms cooperation with North Korea would be a direct threat to South Korea and global non-proliferation, as President Yoon Suk Yeol urged Indo-Pacific countries, including China, to cooperate for peace and prosperity. This came as Yoon attended a summit of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations in Jakarta, joined by Japan and China, in an ASEAN Plus Three session on Wednesday. First, amid speculation of a potential arms deal between North Korea and Russia, Yoon said attempts at military cooperation with North Korea that harm the peace of the international community must be stopped immediately.
If a major member of the UN Security Council cooperates in military technology or engages in arms trade with a state subject to the most stringent sanctions by the UN, this not only poses a direct challenge and threat to global peace, but also poses a direct threat to the security of the Republic of Korea. We are attaching great importance to it and looking at it very seriously.
Yoon requested that the country's president cooperate in denuclearizing the North and ending its illicit funding activities, such as cryptocurrency theft and the dispatch of workers overseas. Asked whether this was a message aimed at Beijing to put pressure on Moscow and Pyongyang ahead of their potential bilateral summit, a Yoon official told reporters that the president's remarks were made as North Korea's illegal actions are carried out on Chinese territory and on the high seas. He said China did not respond specifically to Yoon's request to fully implement UN Security Council sanctions against the North's regime, but added Beijing wouldn't intentionally take actions to increase Pyongyang's weapons capabilities. He also hinted that a separate meeting between Yoon and the Chinese premier on Thursday is being discussed. Amid geopolitical tensions, territorial disputes and ideological differences, all the more pronounced by President Xi Jinping sitting out the ASEAN and G20 summits this year, Yoon called for a resumption of the trilateral summit and mechanisms between South Korea, Japan and China in order to overcome critical challenges facing the region in joint efforts with ASEAN. As the rotating chair of the +3 countries this year, Seoul underscored the need to expand currency swaps, trade and investment, and sustainable support for small businesses in ASEAN. Yoon also outlined measures to increase food security, innovation and investment in young scientists. Yoon will renew his call for a firm and decisive response to North Korea's threat, as well as greater cooperation for peace and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific, as he attends the East Asia Summit on Thursday and the G20 Summit in India over the weekend, where the United States, China and Russia will also participate. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News, Jakarta.